Afternoon, guys. Dave Carnivore at the Pathfinder School. What I thought I'd do today is I'm getting ready for the Hudson Bay Trapping Intensive class coming up on the 7th of December out here at the Pathfinder School. We're having a 6-day trapping intensive event, everything from upland trapping to water trapping, processing hides, brain tanning, chemical tanning, things like that for 6 days out here, camped primitively at the Pathfinder School. And one of the things that we're going to need a lot of is going to be bait. And we're going to teach people how to make bait in that class. And baits and lures are two different things. Lures are the things that bring your animal to the set. Baits are generally things that the animal wants to eat. And you have to match your bait to the seasonality of what the animal's feeding on. In other words, a lot of people think that canines feed strictly on meat. Well, in the summertime, they feed a lot on berries and things that are sweet smelling. So baits like that are sweet smelling are good for coyote in the summer and springtime, early fall. Once it gets into wintertime, then you need to go more with meat baits, because then when food is scarce, they're looking for fresh meat and they become more scavengers. So what we're going to do today is we're going to set up a bait for things like raccoon and mink, water type animals. Possums are going to come to this too, obviously. Possums are always going to be the first thing to come to your set most of the time. But what we're going to use is we're going to use some very cheap material here that we've gathered together, and I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy bait that will work really good for any scavenger type animal or any carnivorous type animal that lives around water. And what I've done is I've went to the dollar store, and I've got enough stuff here to make a couple, 3 jars of this lure. But these cans of fish cost $1 each. And I've got smoked oysters, I've got mackerel fillets, and I've got sardines. I've got 6, 2, and 2, and I'm going to mix these 3, 1, and 1. And then we're going to put some other ingredients in this jar as well. And this is just an empty jar of some kind, gold medal taste award, doesn't say what it was, one I found. So it probably had some kind of a dressing in it of some sort. And we're going to use that for our meat bait. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to mix these baits together by opening up the cans. And carrying these cans around is a really easy way of taking care of your bait. Now, what I generally use for mixing this stuff up and for applying it is just a popsicle stick. It works really good. You can shove it down the hole if you're using a dirt hole or whatever the case may be, and it works out real well for that. And I want all of that oil in there as well. And if I drop any of these oysters, I'll just scoop them up and put them in there. It's not a big deal. And I'm going to chop them up a little bit in there, just like this, with my popsicle stick. Nice. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to put a whole can of sardines in there. Same thing, we don't want to waste any of that fish oil. So we're putting all of it in there, and then we'll put the sardines in there as well. Make sure we get all the oil out of that can. And then again, same thing. We're going to chop it up and mix it up with the oysters that are in there already. And we're giving him different olfactory scents here. We're giving them 3 different scents of a fishy type smell. And fishy type smells are going to attract all of those animals that live around water. Now I'm going to a mackerel can. Again, all the juice and oils go inside. Again, chopping it up and mixing it up. Very simple to make your own baits, especially for things like coon and mink. It's not difficult. Lures are a lot more difficult, and we'll talk about those in another video. And then we're going to go to another can of sardines. Again with the oil. Pour it off first. Mix it up real good. Now that's just about filled that jar up. we can get some more in there, but I've got to fill this jar up with something else as well to keep this bait from freezing up. And that ingredient is called glycerin. And glycerin can be bought at just about any drugstore. I buy this stuff at a trapping supply store. And I'm going to pour it in and fill it to the top and then mix it up. And what this does is it's just a preservative basically, and it's also an antifreeze. It doesn't really have a smell to it, so it's not affecting the smell of my bait at all. All it's doing is keeping it from freezing up and preserving it from getting any more rotten than it might already be if I were using a tainted meat bait of some kind. And we'll talk about that in another video as well. As I said, this is more of a raccoon, mink, water animal type bait. And I want to get that mixed up really, really good. Then I'm going to put the lid on this thing for a minute while it's not quite full. And I'm just going to shake it up a little bit. And if I've got more room in here, I'll put another can of sardines in there. If I don't, that's okay too. I'm going to put a little bit more glycerin in there now to kind of top that off. Mix that up real quick. Okay. Now we pretty much got a full jar there of bait. And we'll seal that up. We'll keep it in a cool spot. We don't want this stuff to get hot because we don't want it to start to go off at all. But the glycerin will help that. Keep that from happening too. Mix it up real good. We're ready to go trapping. Okay guys, well I appreciate you joining me for this quick video on how to make a water carnivore, I'm going to call it. Because we're talking about coons, we're talking about possum, we're talking about mink, things like that. Anything that's attracted to fish, that's a carnivore, will eat this bait. So I appreciate you joining me for this quick video on how to make that bait. I appreciate your views, I appreciate your support, I appreciate everything you do for me, for my school, and for my family. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can.